Hey guys, welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Amir.
I'm Tim.
I'm Nicole.
And I'm Brian.
And this week we're talking about, I did it again with the This Week crap.
I forgot to look at the camera.
We're not doing it every week.
Well, we did.
Why do I keep
last
saying
week.
this week?
Well, because
It's a week.
Well, yeah, it was sort of a weekly
week
thing.
I know, but we missed last week. I mean, we were supposed to do it
yeah.
last week, but we missed last week.
Nobody showed up.
Yeah.
Nobody showed up.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
No.
Nobody showed up. That's okay.
It was sad. Anyway, this
Yeah.
week, yes, we're talking about alphas, betas, early access games, and whether or not that's good for the video games that are coming out. We had talked previously, and you gave me some definitions for those three.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Yeah, so we could go to the Wikipedia article or any other article on alphas and betas and early release and demos and things of that nature, but we're not going to do that because who said this was factual?
By the way, I have a feeling that you might be really loud in that
Am I
mic
really
if you're
loud?
that close. I have a feeling. We can't hear it.
See if we'd done a sound check before the show.
Well, yeah.
Okay, how about now? Is that better?
That's what happens when you do a roundtable in the ghetto.
That's in the ghetto. In the ghetto. All right, what do you think? How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Should we
Love
go back
it.
to playing checkers with microphones?
Love it.
Okay, pre-show checkers with microphones. You guys should try it sometime. Anyway, yeah. So part of what brought this up was the we're not going to talk about this just yet, but the Destiny beta and the alpha, which
Yeah.
is kind of unusual, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of pre-release games like the Planetary Annihilation and things of that nature that have come out sort of this year with these let's get in and let's play, and we have Kickstarter and all that kind of stuff, and coming from we're all gamers who came from an era where it was, well, if it wasn't in the arcade and it wasn't in Sears and your friend didn't have it, you couldn't play it before you bought it.
Yeah.
So, it's really interesting for us to kind of see this transition from you got really no way to play it to now there's a whole bunch of ways that you can play it ahead of time, short of pirating, which we're not really going to. Well, I don't know. We probably won't make that a big part of the discussion. But anyway, but we thought it would be valuable to start with some definitions, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically we have these terms. We have alphas, which is a software development term for very early in development, right? This is it's just when the game is starting to come together, or the piece of software or whatever. It's considered an alpha stage when most of it's working, but it's not anywhere done, close to done.
Okay.
All right. Beta is further along than that, so we're using Greek alphabet here. Beta is a little farther along. It is still not finished. It's not feature complete, but there is a good chunk of it, or at least the core mechanics are there, or so not all the art elements will be in there, or something like that. But a large portion of what the game actually is and will end up as, that's a beta.
So hold on. Let me interrupt here with a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. So would you say that alpha would be more like several assets are missing from the game, while beta would be it's pretty much done, the assets are there, but it's before QA or quality assurance gets into it and starts fixing bugs?
Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. Beta is these are very loose terms, though, because a beta for one development company could be a little bit different than another.
Yeah, sure.
But it's definitely a pre-bug fix. Like a beta, part of what a beta is nominally for is to work out the bugs in the code.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then you have like an open beta or a closed beta, where with the beta you're giving the code to people and having them try out the software. So in gaming, that means that you select some people, you get some people, and you have them play your game. All right, cool. So a closed beta means that you have this group of people, and these are the only people who can play it, and it doesn't go beyond that group of people. So that's a closed beta.
Right.
And a lot of times they have people who actually play games for a living, who they may hire to play the games as part of the QA, or they may run like a contest or there'll be some sort of a promotion or a pre-order bonus. Like, for example, with Destiny, prior to this last weekend, you had to pre-order the game to get into it. So you can consider that sort of a closed, kind of a hybrid, because everybody had a way, but you had to pay to get into it. Yeah. So if whereas an open beta means that anybody can join, anybody with whatever system or what have you can join.
What would early access be?
Okay, so with Steam, you have what's called on there early access games, and those are games that are still in development that you can pay up front for to essentially play alphas and betas. But unlike where
by paying up front, you mean full price. It's not
you pay for the game.
It's not like a pre-order amount, like $5, and then
exactly. And so that's that's sort of a big difference between with some of the betas and the demos that we've had before for games, and what early access is kind of shown, and that's you pay for the game now before it's done, and then you can play the alphas and play the betas and submit feedback. And I kind of glossed over that part. Part of this is that the developer wants feedback for your material. All right, cool. Ideally, to make the game better.
Right.
Okay, and the more people that you have who do that, then the more the better your game can be, right? Because then if you have a wider pool of people who are playing it, basically the sooner they can break it, and the sooner you can fix it.
Right.
Okay. Awesome. So that's where sort of early access comes in, and I think that sort of spawned off of Minecraft for one, which was on the PC, which it was free for a certain time. Then you had to pay, but it was before it was released. So you paid for the game before the version 1. So a lot of times, if it's a beta or an alpha or something like that, it won't hit that. It'll be a version point.
Right, 0.7.
Yeah, exactly. And in mods, right? You see all the times where it's just, this is mod 0.31457. When you coming out with version 1? No. Not going to happen. I make no guarantees. It split off of things like Minecraft, where it was very successful. People paid for the game before it was done, and then Kickstarter and the other sort of crowdfunding of games, where you are paying basically for a full game before it's finished, sometimes even when it's just in the concept stages, with the promise that once it's done, you'll get it. You'll get the game. And depending on how much you pledge, on the Kickstarter, maybe you'll get access to a beta or an alpha.
And in the case of something like Star Citizen, you're paying several times more than the game would actually cost you. Because you're also donating to the cause at the same time. Precisely.
Gotcha. So, with a game like Star Citizen, that's one thing. With a game like, say, Defense Grid 2, which I backed the Kickstarter for, I got access to the demo by paying just like a little bit more than the $20 to $15, $20 they wanted for the game. So it just depends on how the studio or the publisher approaches it. And another impetus for that, though, is to eliminate the publisher from the equation.
Yeah.
It's like the developer can do all of that. Like if they do like a early access or a Kickstarter, there's no publisher that they have to pay for that. They just give Kickstarter their cut, and they take the rest of the money, and then they just have to deliver on whatever they promised for the bonuses.
Yeah, it eliminates a lot of risk, too, when you've got...
When you know who's backing your stuff,
Yeah.
Aren't the publishers still needed, though, for distribution? Like, I understand that publishers will sometimes say, okay, we're going to invest this much and give the developer this much money to develop this type of game.
Yeah.
Because we know that when we go to distribute, we're going to make this much money back.
Yeah.
But if you're cutting out the publisher, we're going into a different topic now, but if you're cutting out the publisher as a developer going through crowdfunding, and then you still need them for distribution, even though technically you don't have them telling you what you need to do in order to sell more copies. Wouldn't you still need the publisher in order to get that distribution worldwide, to be able to sell the maximum amount of copies you can?
Well, if you're doing it digitally, not necessarily. Because all you need to do is put your game on the whatever game store.
Yeah, and then you go into the indie category.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
And then you're done. And that's all you need to do. And that's a big part of the early access thing on Steam.
Let's start with a successful beta and alpha, I guess.
Mag.
Oh no. We will actually get to mag. But I thought actually we should start with Destiny, because all over the media, I mean, it's just happened, and all over the media, they're talking about how that was a really great way to promote Destiny.
Hold on. Mag. Oh man, massively was a massive action game.
Massively awesome gun.
Oh, okay.
No, but let's start with Destiny, because that was what a lot of people in the media, different media outlets, are saying was a successful beta and alpha, and that's more because they were promoting the game, because a lot of people had difficulty with the messaging and didn't understand how the game might work. And because of that, well, not because of that, but thanks to the alpha test that they had going on, and then eventually the beta, which had just passed on Sunday and closed out on Sunday, people have a much better understanding of what Destiny is. Now, I played it, and my biggest frustration about it was I played both. I was in the alpha and I was in the beta. My problem with the alpha is that it only gave us 4 levels. So it was very short, very sweet, very small map, and it left me with a questionable impression. I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy the game, because I don't know the scope of this game. When I picked it up and I looked at it, I was like, this is really small. I understand that it's an alpha. I don't see $500 million here.
Right.
Yeah.
Then the beta came out, and I'm hooked. I want to buy it. Like, I'm ready to pre-order. Me and my friends all got into the beta. We all said, I got you a code for the PS3 side. Pretty much all of us said that we want to get in, and we're hooked, and that we see that it's a little bit bigger. Yeah. But I still don't see $500 million worth. There's still a lot of question marks, like how big is this going to be? How great is it going to be? How in-depth is it going to be? How... even the story in itself, how deep is it going to get? So the question is because other people that are not as informed might get invited to the beta, because you didn't really have to pre-order.
No.
My friend pre-ordered on Amazon, and he got 3 codes. He gave me one. He gave another friend one. I pre-ordered, gave a whole bunch of people codes, and then as I was on my way home with 6 codes now,
they opened it up.
I get an email, and my phone pings, and it's like, oh, here's 3 codes from PlayStation for absolutely no reason at all.
Oh, okay.
So 9 codes.
Yeah. And then they opened up
and then it goes open,
to PlayStation Plus and Gold, yeah.
One thing I thought that was really smart about the timing for the alpha was, they did it just before E3. And, people hadn't, we've been hearing about Destiny for quite a while, but it was... they weren't going to be talking about it too much. You hadn't heard a lot coming into it, and it just kind of got everybody thinking about it again just before E3. And then shortly after that, here comes the beta. And I didn't get to check out either, but I did see the alpha over here, and it looked really cool, and it got me pretty excited for the beta. But I didn't have it pre-ordered, and by the time I found out it was open, it was way too late.
Yeah,
which was really sad, and then I made it worse by going to watch a bunch of videos and get myself really excited about it. I'm definitely going to play
cool.
it, and
it's definitely cool.
I wouldn't know anything about the game without the alphas and the betas, and you're getting a lot of that market share, and getting it on everybody's minds. I think is really important, especially for a game that has to be as successful as they need this one to be.
Oh, definitely. And we're core gamers, so we're informed. I mean, we know. That it's a beta, that it's not complete. But what about those people that PlayStation just handed out, without a pre-order, just handed out these codes to, that had now gotten a taste of it? Does anybody here feel that maybe those who were not informed about Destiny and were educated on Destiny only through the beta exclusively, that might be turned off because it was limiting?
Just because they don't know what a beta is, really?
Yeah. Not necessarily what a beta is, but because they see, okay, shooter, one little area, it's just a bunch of maps, it's just another multiplayer game, just this is co-op. Because that's really what it feels like on the beta form.
But most people, I imagine, that weren't at all informed about Destiny probably wouldn't have known to go buy it anyway, because if they haven't heard of it at this point, they probably weren't waiting for it anyway, and now because they got a free taste, they might actually be interested.
Yeah, and that's the way that I'm sure Sony looks at it, and the way that Bungie looks at it. I mean, even though it's not a Sony exclusive, we keep talking about it like it is, but I mean, it was available to Xbox gamers just for not as long. And that's the way that they look at it is, if we give this access out, or it's one way to look at it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Because some developers do look at it the way that you it's like, well, if we give this too early, then people are going to get the wrong impression of it, and they're not going to buy it when they otherwise might have.
Yeah.
Other developers take the tack of, it's just like, well, if they haven't heard about it by now, then we weren't going to get them anyway. But if they actually play it, then they'll see what it's about, and that'll turn them around. You see the same sort of developer mentality around reviews. Like you can hear, like if you listen to any of the IGN podcasts and they talk about reviewing games, they'll tell you that, well, if a publisher doesn't send them a game or has an embargo on the release date or something like that, 9 times out of 10, that's because they're not confident in the game.
Sure. And
they don't think it's going to score well. And so they don't want the reviews published before the game's released because they think it'll hurt sales. And so it's the same.
A little sleazy.
It's the same. Well, I mean, but it's a business. It's a business.
Yeah.
They're trying to make money. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is betas and in this case alphas, or early release, or I think demos. You can put them in the same sort of slot because a lot of times the demos come out ahead of the game, right? Go play the demo. Well, for example, why did you buy Zone of the Enders?
Because it was packaged with Metal Gear.
I bought Zone of the Enders because it was a Hideo Kojima game.
Because it was and it came with what?
I kind of get a hard on for Hideo Kojima.
That's why the table leans sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Wow, this is a really heavy table.
Very impressive.
That's what
but it had the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo.
Exactly, right? So, and that's the thing is, so this is what, as much as like a beta is supposed to be, or something like that, is out there for development purposes to make the game better before it's released. On the other hand, if you look at, like, say, the Battlefield 3 beta or the Call of Duty betas, just like how close they are to release, how much bug fixing and development is actually going back into the game for those. So it's like those demos, it's there to drum up,
anticipation.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas
create fans.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when we're measuring, so it's cross purposes, right? We as gamers, we want to play it because we want to try it out, or we're anxious for the game and we want to give it a shot. And especially when it's free, like, let's do it. But the developers, they want it to get the code, and the publisher to get the code fixes and bug fixes, and the publishers want it so they can drum up support for the game. So you've got really 3 potentially conflicting impulses here.
Yeah.
And is there one of those that's better for the industry? Like, is it better to get it in the hands of gamers first? Is it better to get the code fixes taken care of? Or is it better to potentially make more money because you drum up?
Yeah.
You brought up MAG. And MAG was something that I was really looking forward to before it was announced, because at that time it was, multiplayer maps of 256 players. That's a huge leap from 32. The great thing about MAG, and when it was introduced, I think it was an E3 press conference where MAG was introduced and blew everybody away, was that it wasn't just 256 players and it was going to be chaos on a battlefield. That it was supposed to be really organized, squads of 8, platoons of 32, where only certain groups can communicate with each other, and everybody had this small purpose, like a real battlefield. You would all get individual missions, and they made it sound like it was going to be a really complex shooter. Where people would just have to organize because it's so big. And from what I understand from the MAG beta is that people jumped into this beta, tried it out, and it was too complex. And so, of course, the suggestions from a player is going to come from roots, which is, I've played this type of game before, so from this type of game, this is what I want. And that creativeness is lost because the player gets to play the game first.
Yeah.
So then, of course, all the suggestions on those mag forums from the beta was a whole bunch of features that you would see in a Call of Duty or other first-person shooters that ended up making it into the game and kind of killing the whole message of what it
defeats the whole
was.
purpose.
And then if we look at mag and what it was said to be and what it actually became, it became something way less important. It just became a Call of Duty with much more players. It ended up becoming that chaos that they said it wouldn't be.
Right.
And mag failed.
Yeah. Horribly.
Yeah, so in that case, when it comes to mag, I would say early access is not a good thing if you're looking for feedback that might shape the game. I think the only feedback a developer should look for, this includes Mass Effect 3, ending, by the way. The only feedback, going way back to that and the cupcakes, the only feedback I think a developer should give any weight to is something that has to do with something's broken in the game, if it's a bug. But I think creative control, regardless if we like it or not, it's their creation, it's their art.
That's a really
we
good
either
point.
appreciate it or we don't, but I don't think we should have a voice in changing that creative direction. And I think that's where it kind of depends, like whether a beta is going to be a good thing or a bad thing for a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I was going to ask a second ago before you brought up mag again, have you guys encountered a lot of instances where you've tried to play a beta, alpha, early access game, even a demo, that just really, really turned you off of it?
Yep.
Early access, DayZ.
That turned you off?
Yeah. Very badly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just chaos.
Oh.
It's just chaos. And I know that eventually they might work that out. But when I first had my hands on it, somebody else paid for it. Somebody else paid for it because I'm not going to pay $30 for an unfinished game.
Right.
But yeah, it was just chaos. Just people turning on each other, shooting each other. And, all right.
And that's kind of one of the things too, because like you said, we're core gamers and we understand more or less what an alpha is, what a beta is. You understand that they're working on fixing the bugs. But as a human and a gamer, I can't help but take these problems into consideration, and sometimes it'll put a bad taste in my mouth for a game that, despite any sort of logic I want to put against it, you say, okay, this is something that they would obviously fix. Sometimes it's just too big of a turnoff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
How about you?
I felt that way with Command & Conquer 4. I got into the beta for Command & Conquer 4 on the PC. It's a real-time strategy game. And was a big Command & Conquer fan from years and years back. We played the original. Heck, actually, played the original Command & Conquer on PlayStation.
Really?
So a game that really is not fit at all for a controller. That's where I played it. And from there, got into the PC games and loved 3 and dabbled a little bit with Red Alert 3, and then Command & Conquer 4 was announced, and I was on the forums like making suggestions for the name of the title. Just like, here's this contest, name the game, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll put it in Tiberian Twilight, woohoo! And then it was named Tiberian Twilight because a bunch of people had suggested it, and I was just like, all right, killer, awesome, because it had these cheesy cutscenes, live action cutscenes. And it was just great. And then they announced the beta, and I got into the beta, and I launched it, and it was real-time strategy turned into Call of Duty, and I was like, what? Because there's these capture points, and then you don't gain resources the same way, and it's a completely different game. It is one of those situations where they took the series, and they said, we're going to make this game, and we want it to be a competitive multiplayer game like Call of Duty, so we're going to take this big title, we're going to, so that we think has that, you've got that name behind it, and this is our vision for this game. But it was a vision that was driven by dollar signs.
Yeah.
By creating that competitive environment. And completely alienated
all the people that were making
all the
suggestions.
people that loved the game.
Yeah.
So, and it was the type of situation where it's like, no, change it to make it like this. Make it this way, like a more traditional, but they didn't listen, and the game was a failure.
Yeah.
So there's an example of where they didn't listen to what the fans wanted, the people who were playing it, and it was still not successful. So,
crapshoot.
It's it's hard to say. It's those 3 impulses, right?
Yeah.
Because when the publisher is dictating what the developers are doing, they can either, if the publisher sides with the gamers, you have MAG. If the publisher sides with the developers, you can have Command & Conquer 4.
Well, I think it's because that's a franchise.
Yeah.
That's already an established franchise that
Yeah.
should play a certain way, and
Yeah.
they wanted to change what the one installment in that franchise. And so, of course, all these hardcore people are making those suggestions based on previous installments, and they're saying, well, that's not the game we're making, so we're just going to listen to the ones that have to do with what we're making, which I guess doesn't work anyway. But.
Well, yeah, no, but the thing is that I think it's funny. It's funny for you to say that. I know you're just making a point because I'm just thinking about. Well, what about Infamous, Amir? They didn't change the formula.
Well.
That's it.
Infamous on PlayStation 4 plays like Infamous on PlayStation 3. That is not, and you know what? That's not it. It's the assets. It's the down to the analog stick that I have 3 different velocities in Infamous 1. I have 4 different velocities on Infamous 2.
Yeah.
And then I play Infamous Second Son, and I'm back to 3 velocities. And the walking animation is him.
Yeah.
What? He's not a boxer. What is he doing? Like, why is he like? It's
All
either
right,
run or
all right.
nothing. Whatever. All right, let's not get
All
into
right.
Infamous.
Yeah, sorry. It's just, I
and my
couldn't help
hate
but think
for
of
it.
that. But anyway, yeah, it's what is the virtuous cycle for it? You know what I mean? And how much does money play into it? I mean, and because it costs money to make like demos, right?
Yeah.
Heck, it even costs money to make the vertical slices that reviewers see. When they're just like, hey, come in, play an hour of our game.
Oh, yeah.
And they just basically cobble together the assets in the game and they create like a level that doesn't even actually exist, but it's supposed to demonstrate what how the game's going to be. There's all those costs that sort of go into it. So.
Anything you publish, I think, for Xbox Live or PlayStation Network costs money.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, yeah, it costs money to publish.
So demos do cost money, and then I think even locking out is something like locking out certain things and then having to bug test that specific sector to make sure that people that are playing the demo aren't experiencing any bugs.
Yeah.
I think that also takes a little bit out of resources. I do see that a lot of publishers talk about resources and that demos take up their time and their resources, and they would prefer to just try to get that game done to the best of their abilities and as soon as possible. Whether that's a valid statement from every publisher, I'm not sure of, but I guess it makes sense.
So what if we? All right, so let's change the question then. Instead of what demo or beta did we play that turned us off, other than Destiny, what?
Damn you!
And I almost want to disqualify Metal Gear for you guys, but
that didn't even have a beta or
no, but it had demo. That's what I'm talking about. So it could be a demo. So it could be a demo that you played because especially back in the PlayStation era, like PlayStation Magazine, right? And you got the disc with all the demos on it, and
exactly,
and sometimes you would look for that just in case they had a demo for a game that they had featured that you wanted to play, right? Mm-hmm. And so you could go in and you could play the demo first, and you could just get a taste of the game. What kind of? Well, Nicole, did you have one though that you got turned off by?
I've only dabbled a little bit in like betas and all that stuff because I'm usually so backlogged that by the time I get to games they're far out and all that. But so I've had more good experiences than bad with those. But it's usually games I'm really looking forward to anyway.
Okay. Well, then let's start with you. What good experience did you have with like a demo or a beta?
So for demos, I think, and this is probably not a super popular game, but I remember when Folklore was coming out, and that was like one of the early PS3 games, and we had, that was when I worked at GameStop, so we had one machine that played like a Folklore demo constantly, and that game was beautiful, and that sold me on it. Like I would always see it playing, or people playing it in the corner, and just from that I'd go play it sometimes, and I was definitely sold on it, and it is pretty. The gameplay's got its pros and cons, but overall it's a beautiful game, and so that's why I bought it. Otherwise, I might not have noticed it. And Spore.
No.
But I won't.
Save that for the next E3 show.
Tradition.
Anyway, that was our E3 show.
It's like 15 minutes of Spore. 7-year-old game.
Dude, that was awesome though. That totally turned me on to Spore. And then Yeah.
No, we're gonna derail. No,
I'll leave it there.
So Amir, all right, go ahead. Demo or beta that you got into that made you like buy the game or want the game or whatever.
That's a tough one. I'll tell you one that's going on right now. I had a problem with UFC games.
Okay.
And the previous UFC games that were under THQ as a publisher, weren't great for me because they were short fights, but it was also very, very complicated in order to get into these fighting mechanics. And I had a lot of trouble with it. And at that time, it was a bad buy for me. I bought the first UFC and I hated it. And the next UFC I needed to check out at a friend's, and I didn't like it. It was just too deep. I'm not going to get into it that bad, that much, and just for a fighting game. The new UFC has a demo. So I decided, all right, well, let me download it, see what's going on, and I played it. And again, it was too complex, but I could see that it was leagues ahead with EA compared to what THQ was doing with it.
Because you're a big WWE wrestling,
exactly,
into that scene. So
right, but
there's
WWE
appeal
games,
there.
but WWE games have had this long stretch of where they're just not getting any deeper. The AI is still kind of stagnant. It isn't cerebral enough, and I want a fighting game that's cerebral. That's what I kind of miss, And UFC could definitely bring that, and this one does. But part of what it does is gives that really steep learning curve, where the controls are really complex, and you really have to understand them. And then after you understand all of these controls and know what you're doing, then you have to apply a strategy in the octagon. And man, I still can't get the controls, but I do know that every once in a while I pop in that demo, and that's not a lost sale for UFC, because every time I pop in that demo, I'm learning new moves.
Yeah.
And as I learn new moves and I develop these strategies and I get a little bit better, I could feel that every single time I play that demo, I feel a little bit more comfortable. And I know that once I feel completely comfortable, I'll buy the game. And if it's not this one, it'll be the sequel, because I know it'll be based on that, on those mechanics. So for UFC, I think, even though I haven't bought the game yet, and I haven't got there yet, the fact that I boot it up every once in a while to kind of learn it when I have the time, I think that's definitely a good one.
It's really, really funny that you brought up UFC, and in the way that you did, because I was also going to say the UFC games, but it's the exact opposite. I played a lot of the original ones. There was a demo for, I guess it's UFC Undisputed or something like that. And I downloaded the demo, played with my friends a lot. I think it was like Chuck Liddell versus Shogun, something like that. Anyway, we played it a lot. And I mean a lot. So we did it to where we got over that learning curve. And so I was really excited about the new UFC coming out. Was tempted to pre-order it because Bruce Lee is an unlockable character in the new one. Yeah. If you pre-order it, you get him right away, which almost worked for me. But I have the exact opposite opinion that you do with the new one. Versus the old ones. I thought that the THQ ones controlled better. I would say that the learning curve is higher.
With THQ?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
But in terms of, once you've got it, it's a better playing game. For instance, the new UFC, I got that demo too. I was really excited about it. And I don't really play it very much. Mainly because it's ridiculous. I mean, your guy takes like 18...
Wait, then why were you going to mention this UFC?
Because it's a demo that turned me off from wanting to get this.
Oh, okay. Turned you off.
Yeah. Okay. And then conversely, the other one turned me on to wanting to get it.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you can get punched in the face with Superman punches 18 times in a row, and your guy's fine. He'll get staggered a little bit. No, you would be down. You would be dead for sure. There's just no way around it. And I don't know. I think that happens a little too much in this game. But overall they control pretty similarly. I don't really like the you got to use the right stick and kind of wiggle it around in weird ways to do submissions and kind of change their grappling stances and stuff like that. And I can't think of a better way to do it, but that just doesn't cut it for me.
Right.
It's just too hit or miss, and there's not really any feedback letting you know whether or not you're doing it right. It's just this, especially if you're playing with friends, it's just this struggle of flailing the right stick around and hoping for the best.
I wonder if that's an EA influence on how they develop fighting games. Because Fight Night was like that.
Oh, really?
Where all of a sudden they want to... It's kind of like they want to use that right analog stick and those shoulder buttons, like the L2 and the R2, that are more bumper-like. it almost seems like they want you with your fingers to simulate what the fighters are doing on the screen, as opposed to just giving you a face button action so that you can have that quick one-to-one. I think that that just makes it complex for no freaking reason.
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to feel like I'm throwing a punch unless I'm throwing a punch.
It needs
Don't
to
make
feel
me do
intuitive
this
when you're
because
doing
that's not
something
throwing
like
a
that.
punch.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you're more Little Mac, not Mike Tyson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, no, and I'm saying
Up B, up A, face.
There you go. Yeah.
Start button.
And select.
Do it, Little Mac.
Oh yeah, that was select button. Did you hit start or select in the round in between rounds to get extra health?
Select.
Mm-hmm. Then he starts patting your back.
Can't
a
do it
little
too
faster.
early because then you might lose him.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to get it right.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you just mash it, it's not gonna work.
I always tried to get really, really good at getting up. If I got knocked down, getting up at 9, so you got more health back.
Oh, I didn't even know that happens.
Oh yeah.
Did you? This is really?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you get up at 9 and you time it right, you get more health back.
Oh, I didn't know.
But
that.
it's risky.
Yeah.
How many years ago was that? That I'm
Yeah.
just learning this trick now.
Yeah.
I hope I'm
Nintendo
right. I'm
power.
pretty sure that's right.
Yeah. And if you get knocked down the third time and you get up at the 10 count, then you can fight Mario referee. So,
What?
Say what?
No.
Yeah, no, I just made that up.
Okay.
All right.
Golly.
Should throw this mic at
I
you.
was just like, screw this. I'm got to do that.
He's only going to start a rumor. He's a glitch in the game.
He's talking trash in his voice.
Yeah. Yeah. He hits you with the numbers. That's how he attacks. Well, I was going to say, I could probably go back to games like probably Warhawk and like the original Warhawk, not the PlayStation 3.
The PlayStation 1
PlayStation
Warhawk.
1 Warhawk and Twisted Metal and those old school games that I played demos for before I actually bought. Of course, I also played those at like friends' houses, and then that got me thinking, what about video rental stores? And so I was like,
Yeah.
it's all left out for Redbox because you
Yeah.
put $5 into a machine, keep the game for a little while. May not have it long enough to beat it, but that gave you a taste. You may go buy it instead.
Yep. Gamefly.
The
Game
bad
fly,
thing is when you can't talk yourself out of, like, okay, so I rented Skyrim from Blockbuster. Like a whole, like, I almost paid for the game twice, but I couldn't convince my wife to just let me go buy it. She's like, "Well, you can rent it for another week." It's like, okay, but then I'm just gonna want it again and again and again. I did the same thing with Dragon Age too.
Oh man,
Can't rent them.
no, Dragon Age as well. We don't want them to be.
My
We don't want
bad.
anybody to be confused that you did that with Dragon Age too.
Oh yeah, no. Dragon Age
That's a
2 was
good
the
point.
shortest RPG I've ever played. It was about like 20 minutes of running, attacking, and then shutting it off and taking it back to GameStop.
Shortest RPG. It's funny you should mention RPG though, because I was going to say that most recently the demo that I haven't purchased the game yet, but I will, was Bravely Default, and the
Okay.
demo.
Hearing good things about
I really want to
Yes.
play it.
I want to get a 3DS for it.
Exactly.
Like I was
That and
telling.
Shovel Knight.
Oh yeah, Shovel Knight. I don't think there was a demo for it, but you don't need a demo.
No,
Yeah, you got
I know
this.
it's good.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I've seen you play it. I'm
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did I mention I beat it finally?
Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
did.
did.
Okay, good.
very proud of
cool.
you, Brian.
Oh, that's fine. Please don't go there. I died nearly 100 times, so please. And it's recorded in the game. You can pull it up how many times you died, just in case you thought you were good. You just pull it up. No, and you were on normal difficulty. Thanks for the reminder. I appreciate that.
Can you still pull up your stats on there?
Yeah.
Oh, so I should play it too, and then we should compare stats.
Yeah, we compare. Yeah.
Then
yeah.
you can laugh at me and feel a lot better about yourself.
And then we can both try to go through New Game Plus and fail miserably. Anyway, it's Bravely Default, and it's kind of unique from a demo standpoint. Nintendo's doing a lot of weird things. I mean, we didn't even talk about like Rusty's Real Deal Baseball or Steel Diver on the 3DS.
What's the deal with those?
They're sort of
Let's briefly talk about
they're like demos, but you unlock bits of the game.
So that's free to play, basically, isn't it?
Well, yeah, the thing is you only can play like a small portion of it. Like you can play 10% of the game.
Okay.
That's it. All right? Like it's a demo-sized chunk,
Okay.
as it were. But if you want to play any more beyond just that, then
Yeah.
you have to unlock
Wrong show.
sections. So It's a little bit different from the free-to-play because with something like, say, Plants vs. Zombies 2, you can play through the whole game without paying anything.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to.
It's kind of forced. It's
Yeah.
free to play, but it's kind of forced where you have to pay to unlock.
Yeah, it's akin to like demo into DLC model. Like if you think about it this way,
Yeah,
you
that's what I
buy
was
the
about to
demo
say.
and you download some DLC.
It's pretty much just a normal demo, except the full game unlock is broken up into a few different purchases.
Precisely,
I guess. Yeah.
exactly. And they did that with Steel Diver and did that with Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, which is kind of interesting. Where the Bravely Default goes even a little bit more different. One, it's a demo for an RPG, which is sort of difficult to do. They've done it before. I'm pretty sure there was a demo for Final Fantasy VIII, if I recall.
I played the demo for Mass Effect.
But whereas a lot of times those just sort of take a snippet of the game and they may change things around so it doesn't ruin the story.
Yeah.
This is an encapsulated, basically just area with 3 dungeons. Oh, well, let's see. Yeah, three dungeons, a town, and then one other area that unlocks towards the end. And you've got your characters, and you have like so many classes that you can go through. And by the time I had gotten through all of the dungeons and leveled up and got the items, and even done some of the spot pass stuff, which requires you to have your DS get in range of other people.
All right.
So that you have this little mini town mini game that you build up your town like a silly free to play Facebook whatever online. So you've got that as a sub game to this main hardcore RPG turn-based JRPG. You've got that going because that gives you the more you upgrade that town, you have this traveler that wanders through the town in the main game that can sell you some of the items from that shop. So it's the only way to get some of the stronger items in the game.
That's pretty cool.
Exactly. So you do, and this is all in the demo. So by the time I was done, I had put 6 hours into the demo.
Wow.
And all of that stuff is going to carry over into the main game.
Just buy the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Just do it.
I don't want to pay full price for the game. It's $39.99. It's a lot of money.
Well, then go to Blockbuster and pay for it twice.
Blockbuster. Where's the Blockbuster?
Yeah.
They're all.
Blockbuster tried to copy Redbox, and there were like 2 of those
Yeah.
Blockbuster box things around here, and
Yeah.
they were just
Poor
gone.
Blockbuster.
Anyway, I won't wait too long about that. But anyway.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What should be the around the table question that we close with? Let's see. Okay. What we'll go around the table. Actually, you guys are included in this too if you want to answer the question. You're part of this discussion, so use the comment space below.
Answer the question.
Below? I don't know the camera angle. Anyway, what franchises or upcoming games do you think can benefit, not from a demo,
Good question.
but from a beta, where you would test out the game, or a community would test out the game first? And we'll go around the table, so we'll start with you, Tim.
Quick clarification. Like where it's clear that development wants this to kind of work out bugs and stuff, or is this just like it's a month before the game?
that's
you
For whatever reason you think
Alright,
you
cool.
think they would benefit.
Well, it would make the most beneficial thing would be I would figure bug fixes and things like that. So that kind of makes me think like first-person shooters that you play online, MMOs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
In terms of games like that are coming out soon that I can really think of, I can't really think of too much. I don't know. I don't really have anything.
Okay.
There just aren't any games I'm excited
Oh
about
no,
that really
that's
fit
totally
that
cool.
criteria.
If you
what's
think
that?
of one
Drive
while
Club,
ago,
maybe.
okay, Drive Club.
I mean, I'm not going to play it, but I don't know. That was kind of one of the things about this topic. Like, I've never really gotten into the betas all that much.
Yeah, I view them mostly as spoilers.
Yeah.
It's like if I already know I'm getting the game, I'd rather avoid the beta.
Yeah.
If it's a game that I'm interested in enough to play the beta, I'm probably already going to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
Now, maybe for like demos on the PlayStation Store have saved me a lot of money. A lot of money. It's like, oh, this is going to be great. No, it's a piece of crap. Let's delete that immediately.
But it's still in your download list.
Yeah.
Or the discs that came with the official PlayStation magazine in that PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 era. Those were cool.
Okay, instead of giving one of those, even though I said I couldn't talk about Metal Gear on demos, I have to.
Well, for upcoming,
the best. This isn't upcoming, but the best demo I ever got was from a Pizza Hut. I don't know if we just ordered like the right pizza or something. But they brought out this little blue sleeve of a bunch of PlayStation demos, and that was the first time I played Metal Gear Solid.
Was there special Solidus?
And you would go through, right up to the DARPA chief, where you found the DARPA chief.
Cool.
Oh,
And I replayed that
I played that demo.
a zillion times.
I played that demo. I
Yeah.
don't remember where I got it. Official PlayStation magazine, I think. I think that's
Or
what it was.
Pizza Hut.
The black discs. Oh man, I love those. Okay, for mine is an obvious one because I'm so involved with the community. It would be WW Games.
Right.
Mostly because that game has expanded sideways as opposed to getting anywhere. I guess vertically would be the other way. But yeah, there's a lot of frustration in the community over what THQ did with it, and THQ had their financial difficulties, and they've said that was the reason that it hasn't grown a lot. But we did see that, like, for marketing purposes, they grew it kind of sideways. They gave it more modes, more matches, bigger rosters, bigger everything. But at the core, the game has not really improved. And I know that the hardcore audience, and I'm one of them, that are, hardcore wrestling fans and hardcore gamers kind of want that merge. They want to have that cerebral fighter, and they haven't been able to achieve that. It's bug-ridden because it's so big. It doesn't seem like the game is very big because it's all hidden behind menus, but you have Defeat the Streak, which takes hours upon hours upon hours, then Defend the Streak, then their campaign, then all of their create modes, which are super robust. I still think they're one of the most robust create modes.
Nice tease.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing. That was
What?
Nothing.
All of them. I see why you said that.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. You'll
Just
you'll
slid
figure it
that
out
in
soon
there.
too.
Just slid it in there.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
Dick.
No, not foreskinning. Foreshadowing. Sorry.
But yeah, I think they would most benefit from having a whole bunch. I was able to be part of the playtest for 2K14.
Right.
And
I
can
remember. They flew you out to do that, didn't they?
Yeah. They
okay.
2K had flown me and a bunch of guys out. They called us community leaders. I don't know what that means, but they basically flew us out to test out the game. It was not as fun as I thought it was going to be. It was a lot of hard work. We sat there with our eyes freaking. We were all excited like that first couple of hours, but then when they brought out these sheets and things that we had to do, and they had us just keep playing, I was like, man, I'm kind of killing this game for myself. Like, I'm going to hate this by the end of the 2 days. But what was cool was at the end, we were able to actually talk face to face with the people involved in the game, and we had a round table and a little bit of a meet, and we got to discuss it. And the thing that I was most proud of was that all of the play testers, even though we didn't know each other, well, mostly we didn't know each other before we came in there. When we got around that round table, and we all talked about the game, we almost completely had the same ideas for what we wanted to see from a game. And if we compare the core experience in WW 2K14 is not great. But if we compare the core experience from WW12, WW13 and compare that with WW 2K14, WW13 did not have a playtest. If we compare those two, it's like night and day. There's a lot of people that say 2K14 was their favorite in the franchise. So just from having that small group of people test it, it was like night and day. I think if WW Games started to have like these even closed betas and had like a bigger community where they could talk in a forum and have static messages that they can read and see exactly what kind of feedback they're getting and what changes they need to make, I think the franchise would benefit greatly from it, especially since it's on a year-to-year sales decline. So, what game do you think would benefit most from public testing?
It's hard to say because most of the stuff that I follow is established franchises and that sort of stuff. But I think I would like to see like playtest or see more of probably Hyrule Warriors because it's so different.
Oh,
than-
that's a good one.
That is
it's
a good one.
so
Yeah.
different from what they normally do that I would like to see where they're going with that because I know it's kind of the Dynasty Warriors concept.
Yeah.
But it's being done by with the Nintendo team. So
Yeah,
it would
if you piss off some Nintendo fanboys, you got an issue. So
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's people are serious about Zelda. So,
hey, I know.
I thought you were going to say serious about Hyrule Warriors. I was going to be like, oh no. I hope they're not. Oh no. No, I think that would work out like Destiny, where because I look at Hyrule Warriors and I am not interested at all. I just immediately see like a hybrid of Dynasty Warriors and characters from the Zelda universe, which is pretty much
It's
what
like
it
a dream
is.
come true for me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty
But I'm sure that there's more depth to it than just that.
Probably not. No. Probably not.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's like I would love a demo, and I would love or a beta to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Dynasty Warriors is fun for like 2 hours. And then if you're hooked at that point, like if you love that experience, then you can do that from now to infinity. And you can just enjoy it the entire time. But if after that 2 hours, you're just like, all right, so I've got a 2,000 hit combo. What's next?
Yeah.
No, that's it. It's just, you do that more times. Okay, I don't know. I don't really want that to be the Zelda. Like, I want to want it so bad, but I think that's an excellent choice. I would like that.
That's a really good one.
There's a couple, like, I wanted to say... Well, first of all, I was going to be like, how come neither of you said Metal Gear Solid 5? But then I was like, oh, we got Ground Zero, so that was your demo.
Yeah.
So anyway.
We paid for early access.
So, and I actually wanted to say, even though I won't play it, like The Evil Within, because it's just got panned so bad when it showed, that, maybe getting something out there where they got some more feedback, but now they've moved the release date up, I think, instead of back, so I don't know what that's going to happen. But
That's a weird sign.
I'm going to say that may be the quote for the game. That's a weird sign.
That would be a great game, though, to get a beta.
I'm going to say, since we don't know for sure if it is actually going to make it out by holiday season, Super Smash Bros. Wii U, that's, like, if they did some sort of, like, a demo, beta, something like that.
That's a really good one because...
Which they kind of did, I think.
Yeah, it was at E3, and then they've had...
that's right. They had that event during
They've had
E3,
some small
all the Best
things.
Buys. Yeah.
And I think they did something else where I guess they invited a lot of the top competitive players. Mm-hmm. I think it was around when EVO was going on.
Yeah.
To really check it out. And from what I hear, it's like a pretty good blend of... I never played Brawl, but apparently it's a pretty good blend between Melee and Brawl, which I love Melee, and I love the original.
Yeah.
But apparently Brawl was a little slower paced. That's what I hear.
I don't
know. Okay, never mind.
Slower pace. But I don't know. It's been a long time.
I haven't played any of them.
Really?
What?
Yeah, I haven't played any of them.
Let's play.
No, not at all.
Don't say.
Nope, none of them. Ever.
If I had glasses, I would take them off like,
Never
my
turn.
God. Exactly.
We got to make that like a trademark for like every show. We just got to find a reason for you to say "ever" in every show.
My God.
Turn this off. That needs to be our next game.
Okay.
All right.
All right, let's just stop and go play Smash Brothers.
Yeah. I don't have to.
I was just kidding.
We'll go play PlayStation All Stars.
Yeah, let's do that again.
Oh, spoiler alert. All right. Well,
Should we play the original Smash Brothers, Brawl, or Melee?
Melee.
You tell us.
yeah.
Tell us Melee.
I keep looking at I keep forgetting that
too.
Yeah.
that our camera's not there. It's so horrible. So when I look there, I'm looking at you.
There's not somebody there. There's
Not there. You.
That's the editor. Or the cat.
Actually, right over off screen is the figure from 3 Men and a Baby, but they just don't know it.
Okay.
That's an obscure reference.
Google it. I don't got
Yes.
Pookie. Anyway,
Sorry. Hey, well, we'll close off by saying the usual. The conversation doesn't end with us. The conversation's actually more about you. We'd love to hear your comments, and we'd love to engage with you in the comment section. Definitely let us know if you enjoy the show. And that question that I asked before, which games do you think will best benefit from a beta? We'd definitely love to hear your answers on that.
Yep.
And, we'll see you next time. That was perfect.
That was
timing
great.
for the phone.
Nice.
Woo!
if only it had been
Ric Flair versus The Undertaker.
Woo!
Yeah, I could do that one. You'll understand why I'm... Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You'll understand. Another teaser.
That thing again.
Right in there.
All right. Bye,
All right, bye, guys.
Bye-bye.